Hello, and did you know Banished? Banished is a city building strategy video game developed by Shining Rock Software, which is basically one guy and is basically what you would call an indie game. As a game, it has lots of similarities to the good and grand old city building games like Anno, for instance, has often been cited as one of the inspirations for this one, and it also has a lot of similarities to Dwarf Fortress for the few people watching this that actually know about Dwarf Fortress. And I think it's actually a pretty interesting game that has only been coming out 2 years ago almost. I think it came out in the beginning of 2014, but I've only managed to be able to play it recently, so let me share my observations with you on this game. Basically, what you do here is you build a village. You really start out extremely small with basically a dozen people or so with a storage barn, maybe a few houses, depending on which difficulty level you want to start on. For me, this was actually the buildings around this center here, around this orchard here, that I started on. But now, after like 30, maybe 40 hours of gameplay, I've developed into a little bit larger city that's basically spanning almost the entire map up until the north here. There's a small area here in the northeast that I haven't actually repurposed for my schemes, but the rest is pretty much filled by stuff I built. So let me actually talk you through the individual elements of the game. Basically, your main resource in this game are your townspeople. Yeah, they're basically the whole reason for why you have to do things in the first place. They have certain needs, yeah, like obvious needs, like they need something to eat. They also need to have a place to live, and the place to live needs to be heated. And then they can also work much better if you provide them with tools and if you provide them with something to wear, because the winters here are pretty harsh. Yeah, the winters go like minus 10 degrees Celsius and stuff. So if it's winter and they don't have well done clothing, they'll probably spend most of the time indoors, which is a little bit sad, because in winter actually most of the people are free to do stuff, because this sort of ties into your main problem, which is food generation, which will be your main problem for a large part of the game, because, well, the people, each of your people requires like 100 units of food every year, and you have to provide it for them. You can build like crop fields here, which you see we're currently in early autumn while the game is stopped, so maybe I can just start it on a slow speed. Basically, now there's harvest time, and the farmers tend to their crops, bring them to the next storage barns, and then gets added to the stuff in the storage barn there. And but there are multiple ways of getting food. Doing this by crop fields is one way. There's other interesting ways, like you can build gatherers in forests who gather mushrooms, berries, onions, and other stuff that's just laying around in the forests anyway. And you can also build hunting cabins so that they work so that they hunt for game. In this case, probably deers. And so this way you can get food, but this also requires a lot of workers, which sort of ties into one of the windows that is open, which is this professions window, which basically tells me how many possible jobs I have in each of the individual task fields, and then I can tell people how to prioritize them, because even though I have about 900 people right now, 877, I can't really fill out all the possible works, but you don't need the maximum amount of farmers for each field anyway. Unless you want to make sure that you really harvest everything during every year, because sometimes it becomes winter earlier than the normal year, and if food hasn't been harvested then it will just disappear. So if you have the full amount of farmers working on the field, then you can be sort of secure against that, but I don't think it's really necessary in most cases. So anyway, there's also lots of other things that can happen that sort of add to the survival aspect of the game. Like, someone just died of starvation. What? How can you die of starvation? We have 90,000 food in storage. Gotta be kidding me. Anyway, people can die. Sometimes people can just die of sort of random things like during childbirth. Yeah, this is in medieval times. This is not modern times. There's no modern industry. There's some amount of hospitals and medication that your people can use, but it's limited, and people can die of random things like being crushed while working in a mine. Dying in childbirth is also something that happens often. So people are gonna die, but there's also gonna be new people growing up. So let me actually try to expand on the building process a little bit more, because that's why I chose to start in autumn. Because now that most of the fields are done for this year, most of the farmers don't really have anything to do right now, which means they will sort of help your laborers, which are your general multi-purpose people who can bring stuff from point A to point B and bring stuff for new houses that you want to build, and new other structures that you want to build. So they're your flexible guys who do stuff, and right now my farmers don't have that much to do either. So right now it's probably the best time to start something. There's also something else going on right now, which is why these additional windows are opened. On the right hand side, there's some people are sick with something. I believe it just broke out a few months ago. Not really sure why. They can randomly appear sometimes when you get visited by traders and other stuff, so I'll just have that open here to see what's happening there. I should have enough hospitals and doctors all around, so that they should be fine if they just go there. If they're sick, they try to finish what they're currently doing. If they're holding something, they'll just bring it back to the next storage spawn or stuff, and then they will go to the nearest doctor. But on the way they can infect other people, so sometimes this can spread, but if they go to the doctor as soon as they can, then they'll probably survive this. So this will be open on the right hemisphere, I'm afraid, so that I can keep track of what's going on. There's also an indicator on the main information window up here. And since I'm going through the information windows right now, there's also another one open on the top right corner that's basically that you can only access when you've built a town hall, which is located here in my old main city core here. You can only build that once, and it provides you with additional information about the status of your village, and you can also get information on how the production for various resources is looking, and how it was in the past year. The past year there was some sort of issue with the harvest, that there wasn't really that much going on for some reason. I think winter came a little bit early, so there was actually we actually produced less food last year than we used. So hopefully this year it's much better though. The year's not over yet. I mean, the main harvest is over, but there's still fishers and the harvesters doing stuff. So we should be fine this year. Just last year was sort of weird. You can also see how much things are being in store everywhere right now, which is a lot. And you also have interesting graphs, like how my population grew in the last 50 years. This is like year 55 in game terms. So we started out here about 55 years ago, and then we grew. There was a big jump here where we accepted some nomads that wanted to join the city, and then in the time past that we went through a growth phase, but it was always sort of stressful for me, because we barely had enough food to survive. So I thought I would like to stop that for a little while and basically stagnate my number of people in the village, and instead would like to focus on making sure that we have enough food for everyone. Which seems like a decent thing, right? You can see this in the graph here too. Like this, over each individual year there's lots of oscillation between the harvest period and not the harvest period, and you can see here we basically barely had enough food to go on. There were even some people starving in some rare cases, so I didn't really want that to happen anymore. So by focusing more on food production, we've sort of solved that for now, I think. I mean, that's one of the nice things of this game, is that you never really feel like everything's going fine. There's always something that can be better, though there's no real long-term goals in this game, but I may want to talk about that at the end of the video. So for now, let's actually focus on building, and let's get the time back, and let's do it to like ×2. And now I would like to build something here. Basically, I would like to expand my main city, which is already sort of going to here, a little bit farther to the north, and move the farms around here. So what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna remove that, and I'm also gonna remove that as soon as they're done with that. And I'm gonna build another storage barn, maybe here, or here at the edge of the... I think at the edge of the forest would be nice, because then the people working here wouldn't have to bring everything so far. Then I would also like another stockpile over there somewhere, I think. Oh, I already have one here. No, I don't really need another one of those. So, because I removed the field here, I should probably plant some more over there. Maybe... well... maybe here, next to the mine. Why not? This would be a maximum size. Yeah, let's actually do that. Let's do a smaller one next here. Alright. And what else do I want? I could build another pasture somewhere, I feel. Yeah. One of the food sources that I didn't go into is basically farm animals. You only started with one type of farm animals, of which there are 3. There's sheep, there are cattle, and there are chicken. You only started with one, but via trading with traders who visit your village occasionally... Wait a second. What's going on here where I have 13 infections right now? That's crazy. What the shit is going on here? I don't know. Basically the whole sickness issue can be amplified by how much different sources of food your people have. So you want to have lots of possible food sources available for your people so that they don't fall sick so often. But still, something is really going on down here. It's only going on down here, no? Right? There's also someone here. Well, this is gonna be fun. Maybe you'll see how the sickness escalates for the first time. So far, there were always a few people, but I have never had more than 10 people sick at the same time. That's crazy. Oh gosh. Alright, but let's continue building stuff over here. Alright, since I've freed up this space here, I can use that to build houses, basically. So let's put another row of houses here, and also here. No. There's something over there. Anyway, good. Then I can make a road through here. Alright. And then probably should think about diversifying the food source a little bit further. So maybe a few more orchards. Because I don't have that many of them anymore. Orchards are a little bit weird because they take some years in order to set up, because the trees have to grow first before you can actually harvest anything from that, so that's always fun. So, right, so I have fields here. This can be like wheat, this can be cabbage. Well, okay, the number of sick citizens is going down, which is good. Someone died by, yeah, rock. As I said, there are lots of random deaths, especially for people working in the mines and the quarries. One of the quarries is right here. So like there can always people die there. It's sort of inevitable, but you need to build them anyway because there's not enough loose rock on the map, basically. Basically, when you start out in the game, then the map will look a lot more like this area here, where it's basically trees littered with rocks and some small iron chunks lying around. Which is good for the beginning, because this way you can get some stone and iron without having to build mines and quarries. But when you enter a later phase of the game, then you will probably want a lot of them at the same time, and for that, having people work in a quarry and storing a lot of things is actually very helpful. So yeah, there's even quarries that are basically out of resources because there's no remaining stone there anymore. I couldn't even tear them down and build something new. That's sort of, well, they'll just be littering the landscape somewhat. Students have typhus. Oh god, we have typhus. Alright, but there's just one, and there's only 2 people right now who are both at the doctor already. So let's hope that this will be it for this wave of sickness. Anyway, okay, I was trying to build stuff here. There'll still be some space here. I don't want to chop down more on the forest here, because if I chop down the forest here, then the gatherer and the hunting cabin will work less effectively. So I'll probably just leave the already existing forest there as it is, and just add something here, maybe a few orchards and that. So. Too large. Okay, let's do 15 by 10 here. Okay, let's build a road. Just dirt road would be fine, I guess. So let's do an orchard here, and can be maybe a pasture over there and another orchard here. That sounds like a plan, right? So let's put another orchard. For orchards and fields, basically, they just have to clear the area, which is what they had to do here. There was still some small tree growing there that they had to remove. So I just have to set up which sort of fruit I want there. You also only start out with 1 fruit for orchards and 2 seeds for things that you can grow in fields. You can also trade them with traders. I hope some trader will show up eventually during the recording, though. It may or may not happen, so let's just patiently wait for that. And I wanted to build a pasture here. So can I go further? No, there's rocks in the way, or just the general stuff around there. That should be fine though. For this pasture here, however, they would have to remove something if there were something, but there isn't. Then they have to bring all of the building materials there, and then maybe some of the builders will eventually go there and do it, which we can see here already. Remember, I was ordering some new houses down here, so that was already done here, and right now the builders are there and are hammering and constructing the houses. If you want to increase your population, you have to construct houses, because while people might stay with their parents if there's no alternative to them, like here, it's basically two parents are already sort of older, and then one who has recently matured enough. He could move out, but they're not enough free houses in the city. I mean, I could host like 400 something families right now, but I only have not even 300 homes, so I could grow a lot more in population, but I would be worried about the food situation in that case, so I'd probably not want to do that. So. And while I build everything around here I need a barn so that the farmers don't have to go very, very far away in order to to deliver their crops somewhere. So they'll be delivered to the barn. Now you might ask, okay, but how does that help the people down here if there's stuff in the barn now? If there's stuff in the barn up here? Well, this is this is where the markets come into play. Where basically there are people working just on getting goods from somewhere far away down to the market, so that they can hand it out to people living around there. So basically, there will be people working here, like this one guy here, who's basically transferring. I believe she probably picked up firewood from a stockpile here and is bringing it into the market, so that the people have to only walk to the market and not to the stockpile up here, or the stockpile could be even further away. And the same is true for the barn up here. Yeah, it will serve as storage for the farmers, but the people wouldn't. But the people living here probably won't have to go there, because they can get it from the market here. So that's the thing. There's a few more buildings that I could go into. Like, if you have big villages, then people would also like to have a chapel to perform religious services and stuff. But that's about it. Someone died during childbirth, yes. Random deaths, as I said. This always happens. The citizen count has sort of decreased even in recent years. But it doesn't really matter that much. I haven't expanded much, and the food situation has gone better, so I think it's okay for now. I still have a little bit of room to expand on this map, though not too much. I could probably do something with the area around here. And then there's the northeast, where there's a lot of space that I probably can use, and then there's small spaces littered around here that I haven't repurposed. There's also a map somewhere. Let me check that. Where's the freaking map? Alright, now in the center you can see the map. Basically started out somewhere central here on the map, which you can see right now. And well, basically done everything on this map. But this is one of the major criticisms of this game that many people have already said, so I'm just gonna repeat it. There's really no long-term goal in this. If you can't motivate yourself by seeing him, how much people can I actually have to? How much people can I actually sustain on this rather small, limited space? Then there's not that much interesting stuff to do after some point, because after you've sort of reached 200 people, you've seen every building, you've probably planted fields and orchards and pastures of everything that you can. So after that, there's really not much new going on. It's only going to get bigger and a little bit more complicated, because you have to organize stuff anew, and you probably have to tear down things. Like here used to be lots of farms up until recently, when I decided to screw it. I'm gonna put up some new farms further outside and have some more living area here. So if you're not interested in I would say sort of micromanagement, then this is probably not the game for you. There's a few achievements that you can unlock, but I don't really care about that. So you have to find a way to motivate yourself by doing this. So this is more in a ways like I don't want to bring up Minecraft, but you have to find a way to motivate yourself, because the game doesn't provide you with any end game goal. Like you build a world wonder or something would be maybe something that I could imagine. Like I have lots of resources. I could probably build something really great. I even have some space left for that, but the game is not providing that on itself. There's maybe mods to help that out. I know that there's mods. I haven't tried any of them yet, but maybe mods will help out there. But anyway, this is basically what I wanted to show you with this game. It's really kind of nice. Oh, there's a trader there. So you can build trading posts on the main river that goes through your village. On every map you will have one main river that basically goes through the entirety of the map, so that you know it has some sort of outside connection. For me, this is this central river here, and you can build trading posts there, and then you can sometimes get merchants who want to trade stuff. There are some people who trade materials to you, other who trade food, other who trade seeds, other who can have basically anything. And you can also make specific orders, like because he's the general goods merchant, I could create a custom order from him for some seeds if I required some. And during the first 50 years of this village, we had to do that, basically. What sort of seeds would we want to unlock next? Then we trade a lot of stuff for some new seeds, so that we can diversify our food source a little bit more. But right now I really don't need materials, so thanks for the visit, man, but not this year. Bye. Alright, that's about it. Everything's looking fine. There's a really big amount of food supply, so in case you don't mind, I'm gonna have a little bit more fun playing that and figuring out how much people this map can support. And I'll see you next time. Take care.